Hey guys, and welcome to Survive Together Die Alone development update number 8. This update's not really much like in regards to added features. I did get a few bugs that I did fix within the game or the project, and yeah, for the most part it's been level design, nothing special. There's been quite a lot of stuff that has been sort of reiterated on, because initially the hotel scene, which is what's being shown now, was actually like in the same level as the exterior scene where you sort of are outside as well, but there was optimization issues and the level didn't flow as nice, so I thought I might sort of split levels up, and that way I could sort of redesign, restructure everything. And I feel like this is probably my best level design I've actually done within Unreal Engine 4. And unfortunately, I don't really like the lighting system in Unreal Engine 4 because I used CryEngine for like 4 years, and the lighting in that is just amazing. It's like photorealistic rendering at real time with like full on 60 frames per second, whereas Unreal Engine you have to make all the lights like static if you want to have more than 2 dynamic lights next to each other. So that sort of imposes a few issues on itself, but really it's nothing too hard. You can sort of work around it, you sort of have to use your brain a bit. But yeah, for the most part, it's just level design, nothing really special. A few bugs were fixed here and there. There's some pretty major bug actually, sort of game breaking. And it was a really stupid fix. I sort of just had to delete a bit of code and rearrange some of the restructure some of the code for it to work, and it works now. So pretty much when it comes to play testing, or sort of to test the structure and the flow of the actual level, I myself developed the level, so obviously I know where to go, and it takes probably like a few minutes to run through the whole level, whereas if a player was to go through it, it may take a bit longer. I'm guessing around 20 minutes, but I will have to test it and sort of time it. But right now it's just a level, there's no actual mission structure within the level. It's all just level design and flow, and then that's including the outside of the level, sort of the distant objects that creates the atmospheric sort of, it creates that immersion effect sort of by having the external world as well as what's the players actually in. And there's a lot of trickery used, and sort of I tried optimizing this as best I can, and everywhere so far I get over 120 frames per second. But I do have a pretty good PC now, so I don't know how it's going to handle on my other computer, but I did try and keep optimization sort of at that peak as the main priority. And essentially I do want this game, I'm trying to target towards low, mid and upper range computers, like that's my main target. But I'm guessing it's more or less going to be sort of not your lower range, but you will have to have a bit more of a beastly PC to run this, unless you want to turn like the resolution scaling to like 20% and play at that, but I don't know who would want to do that. So optimization's been the main key structure when I've been developing this. So I use a lot of items to block sort of areas where unnecessary objects need to be low. It was a very complicated process, and I also added a bit of fog, an atmospheric fog, which sort of stuffed up the lighting a bit because it adds like an orange tone to areas that should be pitch black. But for now, it's sort of like you can't have everything in one bowl. It's sort of you've got to have like you've got to balance it out and have essentially I'm never going to finish this level. Every time I go through it, it's like, oh, I should do this, I should do that, and restructure this, or place this item here and do this, do that. But in the end, it's sort of like you've got to stick to a limit and say, I've developed this for about a month and a bit, I'm not going to change it again, because if I end up just adding objects here and there, yes, it will in the long run make a better quality level, but really I'm by myself, so how much time should I invest into that sort of stuff? So I'm more or less trying to push for quality and like sort of the quality over quantity, sort of trying to have them at 50-50 rather than the quality above. I don't know, I'm just trying to keep it at a good balance, because it takes a good solid amount of time to develop a level, a good month and a half, depending on the size and the blah 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 whatever, and getting the assets and all that sort of stuff. It just takes a lot of time and effort, and designing the levels will be the biggest challenge in this game, I've noticed. So mechanics, I pretty much got down packed. I just need to add a few more things like health. Like, there is health in the game, but it's very basic. It just deducts like 10 damage off of 100. But I want to make a more intuitive system, so like if you're shot in the head, you're probably going to die straight away. If you're shot in the chest, you have a high chance of survival, and if you have armor, it's obviously going to reduce that risk of dying. And I also want to add medical items, so if you get shot, you might bleed, and you have to use a bandage to like heal yourself. Just little basic things like that. I know it's sounding very survival-esque, but I'm trying to go for a more linearized survival game. I hate using that word survival game because it's very generalizing, but in my head it's more or less like you call Dying Light a survival game, but it's very different and unique, and they've done it right, which is what I'm trying to go for. And yes, my mechanics may be stereotyped, but I'm trying to find something out there that will be different and hopefully stand out. I don't want to do zombies, as I've said before, but in the end I'm still trying to work it out. So yes, as for weapons, I've still only got 2 weapons in the game. I've actually been planning more, but I've got a pretty big bug right now with them, so that's sort of unfortunate, which I'm actually working with another guy who I'm trying to sort of resolve this issue, but in the end I'm pretty happy with where I am now. I've been developing this for about 8 to 9 months now, and when I look at where I first started to now, I'm quite happy and satisfied. I could have put a lot more work into it, but really, you know, I'm putting a lot of effort into this, and it's taking quite a while. And it'll take a couple of years. It's not expected to take like, you know, a couple of weeks type thing. And as long as I keep making progress and moving forward, then that's my main goal. Yeah, see how things go, and hopefully the next month I actually do work more or less on programming, so adding the features, because I do want to get health down packed, and in my head I have an idea of how it may work. I also want to get sort of so I've got health, but I've also need to add falling damage, health pack, like health items, because I have food and water, but I don't have anything to sort of heal you as of now, which add those. And once I've got those mechanics, I'm going to start working on the save system. Once I've done that, I want to start working on the main menu, and then I pretty much have everything in the game, other than, like, everything will be in the game, but it won't be finalized. Everything will need to be sort of more, I need to do my final passing through. Like, my HUD right now just looks like crap. I fully understand that, and I want the HUD to be very nice and minimalistic, but at the same time sort of in your face. I don't know, I'm still trying to design it, see how it goes. But yeah, in the end, everything's getting there. The HUD's sort of functional as of now. It doesn't really, you know, it's not a nice looking HUD, nor is the inventory, and it will change, and I will definitely reiterate on the HUD to make it look better and more professional. But in the end, it's all really, I'm just trying to get all the functionality and the mechanics in place, and I've got one level right now, which is this hotel sort of scene. And then once I've got that done and I've got my main menu, I sort of start from the top and work down, like the more obvious things that players will see most of the time. For example, the main menu, I want to stand out and be like, wow, this is I want the main menu to be nice and look satisfying, sort of like Dying Light's main menu, because I liked theirs was quite good. And then the loading screens, they're probably just going to be black screen, I don't know. But then the player's HUD, I want to be very good. And I sort of want to get volumetric fog into my level, but it's a bit of a touch and miss, or touch and go type thing, because volumetric fog is a bit difficult to work with, especially in like interior levels, because areas that are dark, they just get lit up, and it's very complicated. Unreal Engine isn't the best for like real-time lighting, and I feel like people over jump when they say, oh, Unreal Engine has photorealistic rendering. Well, no, you have to compile all your lighting. It takes like 5 hours to render, and then you can play it. Whereas CryEngine, that's one thing I miss about CryEngine, is you can literally have a million dynamic lights right next to each other, and you will not lag at all. So you can have everything in one sort of box. You've got to have it spread out. Anyway, this update's pretty much just level design. I know I've spent so much time designing this level, and I put a lot of hard work into it. And yes, I know it's not the most perfect level. There are flaws. There's lights that seam through the walls, but those are going to be fixed up over time. this is my first real prototype level that when someone says, hey, can I see your project, I'll be like, oh yes, this is what I've created so far, and they can play the level and be like, oh okay, this is what you're trying to go for. It's basically my base to say this is what I've done so far, this is my intent. So here, this is pretty much what I'm trying to design, develop, and I'm pretty happy so far. But there's still a lot of work to do. The hardest thing I find right now is actually getting the right assets. Because initially I created everything, but now it's just getting to the point where I can't do that because it takes a good solid hour to create a nice looking decent AAA table, something as simple as a table. You can obviously just make a square and 4 legs, but you don't, because it doesn't look as good. You want to add a bit of curvature to it, and maybe some indentations, and then you've got to go to texture it. Once you've textured it, then you've got to import it, do all the LEDs, the collision. Then once you've done that, you've got to do the light mapping to make sure the UVs are correct and don't overlap, even though I don't really care about that anymore. But you've got to make sure it's optimized and the textures aren't going to take up 500 megabytes of VRAM or something like that. It's a very complicated process, and if you get other people to do it, it's a lot quicker. And same thing is if you're going to buy assets, you can't just buy them and assume. You're still going to mix and match, and it's very hard. But I'm getting there slowly, and I'm pretty happy with what I've done so far, and I sort of hope, I don't know, it does look better this level than the other hotel level. That one felt very claustrophobic, and all the lighting comes naturally from Windows. There's no artificial lighting. There are a few light bits here and there, but yeah, that's my intent. I'm pretty happy with where I've gone, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I guess I'll see you guys for the next update.